Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexey, and today I have a special guest, Mr. Ralf Scheepers of Primal Fear. So in our today's interview with Mr. Ralf Scheepers, we're gonna be talking about upcoming album of Primal Fear, which is called Domination, and the album will be released this September. New album of Primal Fear was recorded by Dennis Ward at Kangaroo Studios in Germany, and the album was mixed and mastered by Jacob Hansen at Hansen Studios in Denmark. So in this case, you can pre-order new upcoming album Domination by Primal Fear. The link will be in the info box of this video. And also, if you want to learn on mixing and mastering metal, to develop your mixing and mastering skills, so one day you can start working as a mixing and mastering engineer with such great power metal bands like Primal Fear, you can learn from Jacob Hansen at Nail the Mix, and you can learn from Dennis Ward at Color Audio Cult. And also, if you want to develop your vocal skills, and if you want to have such a great and powerful voice as Mr. Ralf Scheepers has, you can get vocal lessons from Mr. Ralf Scheepers himself. All links will be in the info box of this video. It's a huge honor to have you on my YouTube channel today, Mr. Ralf Scheepers. And let's start our interview. My first question is how drum sound was created for Domination album.
Well, it's starting with the drums. The drums, we pre-produce our demo with the drum computer, of course, but then we go into a huge studio to record the real drums. That's what André does. He arranges also his stuff as well. It's not really repeating what the drum computer did on the demo, so he's bringing his arrangements. So we were at Dennis Ward's studio recording the drums. I can not tell you about the microphones because I'm not aware what he used. But of course, there's some kind of high classic microphones going on, which I can't tell you at the moment what they've used. We might have to ask him.
My next question is how bass sound was created for Domination album.
Yes, bass sound is pretty much up to Matt. He's recording a DI signal. And the DI signal, but he also has his setup with a sense amp and his SSL logic interface. So he's got this certain sound on his own. And of course, I think he also uses an amp knob, which is from, I think it's from Borgren, this amp knob. So they have two signals. One signal is going via direct input, which is sent to Denmark when we mix. And the other one is also recorded already with his sound. So we choose in mixing which sounds we use. Basically, it's pretty much his amp knob sound he uses.
What gear did you use for recording guitars for Domination album?
That's Magnus. So he's pretty much also a plug-in guy, and he's checking out for years. He's tweaking for years. So he's using the Mixwave from, I don't know what the brand is, but it's called Mixwave plug-in. And it's not Tony Sturgis, it's something else. I forgot it because I use it also here for my demos, and he's tweaking and tweaking. So it's pretty much also starting with the guitar already. It's starting with the playing, so you cannot somehow really copy and paste this to someone else because everybody is unique in terms of playing and finger pressure. And of course, the brand of the guitar, the pickups, the strings, everything is important when it comes to guitar sound. But it's also plug-in sound. So it's not reamped, it's used what Magnus already recorded.
And in this case, what is your personal opinion on using virtual guitar amps for creating a good guitar sound for Primal Fear songs and using analog amps?
You know, it's always depending how it sounds. So in the end, when the sound is good, I have no problem to have these reamps. So these digital amps, no problem at all, because Magnus has a great sound. I agree. I mean, when we had the tape times in the 80s and 90s, there were no amp simulations, but they really developed so good that you can simulate the cab. You can, with an IR loader, you know, So it can really simulate all the room and everything nowadays, that it's pretty close, sometimes even better than recording a guitar with a cab and a bad mic. So you can have the opportunities to tweak around, and that's basically really taking months. If you have to find your own good, unique sound, it's taking months or years. Magnus is still tweaking. He never stops tweaking, so he's always improving, you know. What
microphones did you use for recording vocals for Domination album?
Yes, my microphone is Horch, Horch RMJ2, the Horch RMJ2, which is standing over here. And I have a preamp, which is Universal Audio LA610. It's a preamp flat, it's like bass and highs flat. And I got the opto compression. So that's the hardware I use. And then I go into my Universal Audio interface, into my Apollo Xbox. And I am recording just with a good analog converters. Digital analog local converters are very good from Universal Audio. And that's it, basically. That's how I record my hardware. But in the end, it's a little bit of software as well. I have Universal Audio 1176A in my chain. I have the audio compressor from Waves, and I have the L1 limiter. And that's pretty much how I deliver my sound to Denmark to mix.
My next question is how songs for the Domination album were written and composed, and what digital audio workstation do you use for composing songs?
Yeah, everybody has different stations. I mean, Matt is using SSL. Magnus, I think he's the DAW is Pro Tools. My DAW is Logic, and so everybody works different. But in terms of composing, we just collect our ideas. I mean, I'm collecting my ideas, and whenever I have a verse, a chorus, and a second verse in the chorus, I leave the middle part up to the guitarist, because the arrangement of the guitar is in the mid part. It's not really my task. So that's how we work together. And the guys, if they have a playback and say, hey, Ralf, now it's your turn, bring in the lyrics and the melody. Sometimes Matt is also bringing lyrics and melodies already. So we are pretty much a team with Matt, Magnus, and I. We are the kernel of writing, and that's how we worked for the last 15 years already.
Do you do demo recordings of drums, bass, and guitars by using virtual instruments or DI boxes for Primal Fear songs when you are working on new Primal Fear songs? And in this case, you already said that, for instance, you are using Logic and your musicians are using Pro Tools, but in general sense, do you use something like Guitar Pro for demo ideas?
Not me. So, and I think also Magnus not. He's using his high-end guitar sound already when he's recording the demos. So I'm also using the guitar you see here, and the guitar you see here is a Solar. It's a 7-string, and this is a 6-string by the Ibanez, just for my demos, you know. So and we're still handcrafted, so there's no Guitar Pro or digital things going on. It's still DI signal, of course, reamped, and as I said before, the drums are programmed. I mean, you have certain patterns already. You have presets where you can use, and that's the reason why we always say make it as easy as possible when we record the demo. But when it comes to drum recording, it's André's turn to make his arrangements, not like repeating what we have programmed, because it's bullshit. It's not bullshit, but the presets, he doesn't have to repeat the presets. He's his own preset. So we need the natural drums and the natural drummer in the end. And like I said before, yeah, everybody is having his chain. And why would I use a different chain for a demo if I have the same chain for recording the real deal? Because when I record my vocals, I'm always trying to record the end product already, because if you got the tempo of the song, you can work like that. And that makes it so much easier in terms of saving time. I mean, you know, I have 4 to 5 months now to sing an album. When in the 80s, we had the tape machines and the studio, which were really expensive, and I had to sing an album in 3 days. And that's not necessary anymore nowadays. I think it's for everybody out there nowadays. They don't even remember how to work with tapes anymore.
Can you please tell me about working with Jacob Hansen for mixing and mastering the Domination album? how songs were mixed and mastered for Domination album one by one or all at once in one project?
It's one by one, but they basically, I think it's one folder he has, and of course different sessions. Otherwise, the CPU or everything would not be capable to do it, because those are sometimes like 50 files we have in the session, even more. So yeah, that's basically, and we worked together. Matt and I, we were flying to Denmark or driving this time, and we were sitting together for more than a week and mixed the album. So because mixing is another art which is very necessary to please everybody. And Matt and I, and also Jacob, we know how the band should sound nowadays. And we are happy that we sound the way we do, because he's also putting this extra little fine tuning on it that you somehow can't really do in a home studio, whatever. So that's the reason why we still want to go to a real mixing studio with a real experienced guy like Jacob is. And we totally trust him, and he trusts us, because he also says, it's great that you guys come and we can discuss the things, you know.
Who's responsible in Primal Fear for giving revisions about mixes and masters, and how many revisions does it usually take to achieve the desirable sound of Primal Fear mixes and masters?
Yeah, mixing and masters is it's only one task. It's only one thing. Because I know what you mean. We, in the years before, we had WAV files and mastered it. But now the mixing and mastering is happening in one box, and also in an external box. He's using his tube tech stuff and external stuff as well to master. So it's pretty much a hybrid solution. It's pretty much DAW, and external gear. That's how he still works. And revisions, as long as we're satisfied. So we always do. He said, when we're not there, he's sending out revisions. But when we are there, we don't need revisions. We can always easily, we have revisions, and we take it to the hotel room, listen to it, and maybe the next day there's going to be a second revision. But that's exactly the reason why we are going there, because the stress was sending back and forth, and everybody has an opinion. I mean, in the end, it's Matt and me deciding, but it's much easier if you are in a studio discussing things rather than sending the files around and asking for changes, you know.
How long did it take Primal Fear to record, mix, and master a Domination album?
It depends when you start. So, I mean, we start with the demo phase already. That's what I said. When I record my vocals, I already record the vocals in the demo phase. So in the end, let's say it's a year, something like that. But mixing and mastering is about two weeks or so, not longer.
And in this case, do you have any deadlines from your label?
Yes, but we're always early. But in the end, if the deadline is, we are starting early enough, first of all, Alexei, but if the deadline is getting in danger because of some reason, you never know. We are still the masters saying, hey, the product is finished when we are finished, you know. So, but we always start early. And we always, over the years, we're experienced that we always kept the deadline in the end to deliver the master to the record company.
When it comes to Primal Fear songs, what comes first, music or lyrics?
For me, it's always different. Sometimes I have lyrics first, sometimes I have melodies first. But basically, I work the way that I have a melody and put the lyrics on the melody I have. Because it's always, you always have this certain thing of rhymes in your head, because for me music, not always, but for me music is always that there's a rhyme going on. It's a poetical thing in the end. Sometimes it works without rhymes, but I think it's more phonetic and more sounding better if there are rhymes going on, like a praise or something, you know, like you have those little stories which are rhyming are always more poetical than things which are not rhyming. So in the end, it's pretty much melody first and then lyrics for me.
And my final question is, what helps you to keep your voice in a great shape?
Thank you. Well, it's pretty much the exercises I do with my students. It's pretty much staying healthy as good as I can. And that also includes not to put myself too much under stress. Oh, what could happen to my voice if I do this or that? You have to be you have to have a healthy attitude towards it. if you are relaxed somehow, which is not always the case. I have to admit that sometimes I'm also stressed because on tour it's not so easy. But basically, I'm happy that the nature of my body is still keeping the course and shape. And I try to do the very best to have a good vocal health in the end, like doing my exercises and stretching. That's basically what I do, and drink a lot of water the entire day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Scheepers, for such a wonderful interview. And first of all, I'm a huge fan of your work in Gamma Ray and, of course, in Primal Fear. And I have been listening to your wonderful music since 2000 year, already for 25 years. And thank you so much for such a knowledgeable interview, because now I'm learning mix and metal at the Nail the Mix Academy for 2 years. I joined Nail the Mix in 2023. And of course, I'm learning from Mr. Jacob Hansen how to mix metal in this case. And this interview is super duper knowledgeable because it helps to understand how super duper professional musicians like you are working on their albums, recording the instruments and producing the mixes and masters. And I guess it will be super duper helpful for Nail the Mix community and for my subscribers on YouTube. So thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience. I highly appreciate it.
Thank you. Cool. Thanks for having me. And I'm glad that I could help a little bit.
Thank you so much.
Basically, it's pretty much, I have to repeat, it's pretty much a very unique thing. Everybody is his own vocal box. You can't change that with technique so much, because if you got AI music, then you go for AI music, but the real voice is a real voice. So, but I hate AI. So, there's so many things are now coming up. Oh, write me a song like this and that in 5 minutes. It's no art. It's nothing. It's artificial.
I totally agree with you.
Okay, Alexei, thank you for having me.